Hello, Big Italy 42 here with you once again, and this time I'm breaking down once again the anatomy of a winning lineup. This time I fell just short of the $20,000 prize in the Grand Slam on Friday night, but I managed to take down second place and $12,500. So all in all, not a bad night. I obviously can't complain there. Fell a third of a point behind first place, but purpose of this here, I'm going to give you the rundown of my lineup, how things worked out, what I was expecting, what actually happened, who paid off, who didn't, also my thought process behind each play and why they were in my lineup. So, starting things off at the top, Jeff Samardzija, just 2.8% owned. He was a pitcher that I chose for this lineup for a few reasons. First one being that the Twins have been hitting the ball really well recently. They've been scoring a lot of runs, but most of their damage has been against left-handers. So, my thought was that a lot of people would be afraid to play Samardzija against the Twins because of these reasons and thinking that they were scoring a ton of runs, and they were. But this is a team that hits lefties much better than they hit righties. They strike out quite a bit against righties. So I wanted to target a guy that I knew would be low owned. He was almost $9,000, so close to the pricier options. So I knew for that reason alone right there that he would be very low owned. Got off to a really bad start, actually. I was really worried early that he gave up 2 earned runs in the first inning, kind of laboring through that inning, and then he just mowed down this lineup the rest of the way through. Finished up 8 innings pitched, just those 2 earned runs, 9 Ks, got the win. They pulled out the win 3-2. It was a close one in the 9th inning, a little bit of sweat there, but I got the 4 points, 19 points for my starting pitcher. I like to target 15 points in my cash games. Anytime you can get a guy scoring almost 20 points and your GPPs, cash games, anything like that, you are more than thrilled. It doesn't matter the price tag, but to get that for under 9K, I'm absolutely thrilled with that. Next up was catcher, and this is one of the most popular plays. He may have been the most popular play on the day. Brian McCann, he was just $2,800 going up against Colby Lewis. We've seen Colby Lewis have some nice performances this year, but I'm one of many that is not a believer in him. He had a nice stretch. I think it was 5 or 6 starts where he was really good, but I think he was more fortunate than actually good. Game before this, faced the Indians' lefty-heavy lineup, got worked around a little bit, gave up 5 earned runs. I was trying to get some cheap exposure to him. Brian McCann made sense. There weren't a lot of catcher options that I loved. Brian McCann was in every single one of my lineups. Colby Lewis allowed a 372 WOBA to lefties last year. McCann's got upside, and he didn't have a great day, but went 1 for 4 with a double, an RBI, and a run scored. So 3 points there, the same 3 points that 28% of people also had. I think that was just a great way to go, a cheap catcher punt there. On my first baseman, I was looking for a lot of upside with Anthony Rizzo. Cubs were in Chase Field against Josh Collmenter and the Diamondbacks, and Collmenter's had some struggles against lefties, and I was trying to get some exposure to this game, obviously in the hitter's ballpark, warmer temperatures out there in Arizona, and I just didn't have any faith, and you got to love the upside with Anthony Rizzo. The guy crushes lefties, he crushes righties, and he ended up only going 1 for 5 with a double and a walk, but the walk came in the 10th inning of the game, and it was an intentional walk to put runners on first and second in the top of the 10th, and that intentional walk boosted me from second place into first place temporarily, it seemed, actually after Paul Goldschmidt had a 2-run home run in the bottom of the inning. I was sitting there watching the game with my wife and telling her, as long as Paul Goldschmidt does not hit a home run here, then I'll stay in first place and then everything will be over. And then thinking, of course, why would you pitch to Paul Goldschmidt in this situation? You pitch around him, you put him on base and let someone else beat you. But lo and behold, Rondon hangs a slider or a curveball, I don't remember what it was, but he crushed it into the seats. Almost knew it was coming, but either way, Rizzo, kind of a bust for his price at 2 points, but I can't complain. I had a few negatives last time I had a big score, so positive points, I'll be fine with that. Stephen Drew was nothing more than a bare minimum left-handed punt play against Colby Lewis. Already talked about him. He's awful against lefties. Stephen Drew was batting 7th. He's got some power, though, for a middle infielder. I just slotted him in there to get some lefty exposure there. He got a single and scored a run, went 1 for 5, got me 1 point. More than I would have got for most guys around that price at absolute minimum salary, so I was happy with that. As we move over to shortstop, Aideni Hechavarria, 0.7% owned. Those are the type of guys that if they have your big games, they really set you apart. Like I mentioned, Samardzija was under 3% owned. He was huge. Hechavarria, under 1% owned. He bats 8th, and you don't like that. But what I do love is the fact that he gets on base, he hustles, puts the ball in play. And I think of him as a mini D. Gordon. He's not quite as fast as D. Gordon. He's not I won't say that D. Gordon's a great hitter yet. He's having this one good season right now, but he's a similar type of player in the way that he hustles and puts the ball in play. So I like that. He has a lot of slap singles. He puts up small amounts of points in a hurry. He did just that against Ubaldo Jimenez, who I don't have much faith in. He went 3 for 5, scored 2 runs, 4.5 points at $2,400, under 1% owned. I was thrilled with that. Third base. This is something I was talking about. Actually, it's a Tuesday right now, and I wrote about him for DraftKings as a contrarian play in GPPs, and I love playing Evan Longoria when there's other popular third base choices when he's facing a lefty. Longoria was 3.3% owned. He was facing Scott Kazmir, who, yes, is a good pitcher, but I love targeting Evan Longoria against good lefties because he just crushes lefties, always has throughout his career. Then he had a monster game, 2 for 3. He hit a home run, drove in 3, had a walk, and stolen base. He was one of my better performers, and at that low price, him in that low ownership, having him in that spot, absolutely loved him. 11.75 points from Evan Longoria. Next up, my outfield, and this one goes shout out to Josh Shepardson at BChad50. I do the podcast with a lot of times. He was talking about Dexter Fowler all day on the podcast as a guy he liked with the power-speed combination, picking on Josh Coleman's struggles against lefties, and he said he was one of his favorite outfield plays of the night. As I was constructing this lineup, I see him sitting there at 3.6K, knowing he's got a nice high floor, he's got a high ceiling, he steals bases, he hits home runs. I locked him into my lineup. Like I said, I was trying to target lefties against Josh Colemanter, got him once again, and he only had one hit, but found the seats with it, stole a home run. He also walked and stole a base late in the 10th inning. 9 points from Dexter Fowler, 3,600. I was thrilled right there. Next up, another guy I love to play against left-handed pitching. I already was excited to play him against Alex Wood. Then Alex Wood got a stomach virus. He was scratched. And the baseball god shined down on all of us who wanted to play Milwaukee bats against Eric Stultz, who was one of the worst left-handed pitchers in the league. His struggles with the long ball were really masked by pitching in Petco Park for a number of years, and he had a 1.33 home run per 9 last year, which is not very good at all. Over 2 this year, 2.02. I was all about playing Ryan Braun against a terrible lefty here, and boy, did that ever pay off. I mean, Braun's numbers against lefties throughout his career, insane. 294 ISO, 434 WOBA, 172 WRC+, and this is not a guy who is as consistent as he once was, but he still possesses that upside. He had a huge game, home run, 2 doubles, drove in 4, had a walk, scored twice, 15 points from Ryan Braun. Big time boost for me. Last player here was Brandon Moss, and he was the second player I actually put in my lineup due to his price. I put in Brian McCann first. He was in all my lineups. Put in Brandon Moss in most of them as well. He was 3.9% owned, $3,300. Mike Leake, if you're familiar with the Reds, and I am, I've been watching him my entire life. Mike Leake is awful against lefties. I love to target him with big bats. And coincidentally, Brandon Moss, last year more so than this year, but he was great against righties. Absolutely mashed right-handed pitching. And he's starting to get it going this year after a slow start, but he was elite when facing a bad to average righty last season. Loved him tonight. He was another guy, crushed one into the seats for me. He also hit a double. He drew a walk. He scored once, obviously, on the home run. Drove in 3 as well. So he was a very nice payoff for me also. And unlike last time, I didn't have any negatives here. A couple small scores. You want more out of Anthony Rizzo, guys like that. But all in all, can't complain. Ended up with 3/4 of a point more than I had on my 20K winning lineup. But finished 1/3 of a point behind Golf Twins. And I actually looked and saw Golf Twins took down that 20K and only had 20 total MLB wins. So congratulations there. That was a hell of a time to come up with a $20,000 winning lineup when you're new to DFS. So great job there. I was trying to find Golf Twins to congratulate. If you know who that is, find me on Twitter. Send them my way, Big Italy 42. Well done to you. And like I said, it was a sweat. As the last time was, I went all the way to the 13th inning. I was hoping for the 14th. Fowler was going to lead off the 14th. I was hoping for a hit. But alas, ending up in second, I can't complain at all. And great thing about this is I didn't even buy entry into this tournament. I won a bunch of entries via $3 satellites a few days before. FanDuel runs these a lot. You can get your $25 entries into these tournaments for just $3 if you finish. It depends on the tournament. Some of them top 10, some are top 5. But check those out in the lobby. I mean, that's a great way to get yourself some cheap entries in a tournament. Maybe you don't have a bankroll to be buying $25 tournament entries, but, throw $3 into a couple of these satellites. You win 1 out of every 8, you're up $1. So give yourself a shot. I turned my $3 there into $12,500, and you can definitely do the same. So, stick with your research, stick with the guys that you like. Check out all of our great content here at dailyfantasycafe.com. We're always here to help you out. And that's my rundown. So thanks for hanging out with me, and I will catch you guys next time.